Are you a splitter or a joiner? Okay, if you've read my blog before, you know why I'm asking the question this way. Let me illustrate it first, though. Somebody you're trying to disciple stops you after church and asks, hey, why don't the Gospels all agree on what was written on the sign nailed to Jesus' cross, or any number of passages? I mean, you've read through the Gospels a lot, Matthew, Mark, Luke, Synoptic Gospels. They don't all agree on what's in and what's not in, and even if it's the same event, the exact wording, you know, we know that. If you've spent any time in the New Testament, you know this. So, like, why don't they agree? She wonders how the gospel writers couldn't get something like that right. One or all of them must be wrong. If you've spent any time doing apologetics or evangelism, you run into stuff like this all the time. And here are the superscriptions. They're all different. It's one of the few things that actually gets mentioned in all four Gospels, too. I think our inclination would be, look, what we should do with these is we should sort of think of it as like the life of Christ in stereo. You know, we should put these things together into a harmonious picture, a harmonious account. We should harmonize passages, interpret one by the other. It's very natural. We do this in our own life. But let's say you picked up the New York Times, Politico, and Reuters, and you read about the House budget deal. Bonner, in one account, says, we fought to keep the government spending down because it really will help, or in fact help create better environment. These are actual quotes, by the way. Another one says, this is the best deal we could get out of them. Another one says, I'm pleased Senator Reid and I and the White House have been able to come to an agreement, blah, 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 blah. Which one's right? All of them. The Gospels are selective. There's a deliberate agenda for each Gospel writer. They are by nature, by definition of what they are. They're selective in what they include or exclude, how they arrange things. Again, we know this, so our inclination is to harmonize things, to put things together. You know, you collect papers on the 9/11 event. I mean, how dramatic, how many times was that seen? And you will not find newspapers that agree with every word, even every detail, even the secret. You just won't find it. Okay, does that mean that one or all of them are wrong? No, it doesn't mean that at all. It doesn't have to mean that in any way. They could all have been picking some aspect of the story out, putting it in their article. So why is it when we come to prophecy, instead of harmonizing, instead of joining, we split? It's the only place we do that. Here's what I mean. If you read 1 Thessalonians 4, again, the so-called rapture passage, we declare to you by a word from the Lord that we who are alive, we who are left until the coming of the Lord, will not precede those who have fallen asleep, for the Lord himself will descend from heaven with a cry of the command, the voice of an archangel, trumpet of God. Dead in Christ will rise first and meet the Lord in the clouds in the air, and we will ever be with the Lord. Okay, the very, very familiar passage. Then we look at this one, Zechariah 4, and they say, well, here it says, on that day his feet shall stand on the Mount of Olives, and that lies before Jerusalem in the east. The Mount of Olives will be split in two, blah, blah, blah. Hey, this doesn't sound like this. Or I could put Matthew 24 up here, which has a lot of similarities with 1 Thessalonians 4. But you look for differences, and then you split them. Here's the point. The reason you believe what you believe about the rapture is because you have decided to take, if we put all the passages about a second coming, a return of Jesus, let's put it that way. If we took all those passages about a return of Jesus and put them all right here in front of us, you would either harmonize them or you would look for differences and split them into two events. If you're a splitter, you have a rapture and a second coming. If you're a joiner, you don't have a rapture. It's just a decision you make. Neither one is self-evident. The Bible doesn't have like an instruction appendix in the back that says, addendum to the last chapter of the book of Revelation, when thou shalt encounter a prophecy passage, split or join. We don't have an instruction book. We just make this decision, usually because we've read somebody who splits and then we decide, well, that sounds great, I'm going to split too. Or we read a joiner and then we read a splitter. They're interpretive decisions that color, that dictate, that compel where you end up, where you come out.